Welcome to Couch Time. Last segment, we discussed love in the realm of relationships. We observed love through the stages from birth all the way through marriage. And we even had the opportunity to reminisce about our love stories. If you missed it, jump on board this week as we discuss real issues for real people. Now that we have looked at love and relationships, do you really think you know what love is? Well, it seems to be the million-dollar question of the day. Today, we will discuss love classifications. Oh, didn't you know that love can be divided into categories?
Be sure to join us on the couch.
I'm Sonja Lowe, the Embrace Coach, and this is Delia Cortez, my beautiful co-host. When I think of love, I immediately think of the love of my husband, the love of my children, and the fact that I love chocolate.
And cheeseburgers.
Yes, but the truth is that each of these types of love is completely different from the other. We have some great information that I'm sure you'll want to write down, so grab a pen and paper. I have several scholars, that break love down into 3 categories. Others who break it down into 5. But did you know that the ancient Greeks divided love into 8 different categories?
When we return, we're going to have 2 special guests. They're going to give us their input on love from a millennial perspective. Be sure you tune in. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
If you would like to be a guest or advertise your business on Couch Time with Sonja, I would love to hear from you. Email me. Visit couchtimewithsonja.com.
We have all heard so many myths about millennials, and usually when we hear them, they're negative. But today, we have 2 special guests. We have Mr. Tony Holmes and Mrs. Crystal Holmes with us, who are married millennials, and they are about to dispel some of those myths and share some awesome insight with us today.
Welcome, Crystal and Tony. I'm so glad you're here, and I'm glad I had the opportunity to meet you. I've met you, Crystal, but Tony, I get to know you a little bit today.
Yes, thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you.
We're really excited to share.
It's going to be good.
I know.
It's going to be so good.
I know. I'm excited.
Well, as I said, I haven't had an opportunity to know you, and I just know you just a little bit. But we want the audience to know you. So tell us a little bit about your love story.
Okay.
Okay.
So, you go first. You start it off.
Right, so then you can come in and correct me, right? So Crystal and I met at Stephen F. Austin. I was a senior, and she was what she would call a sophomore, but it was her first year, okay? But she said she was a sophomore.
I took dual credit, so
Dual credit,
technically I was a sophomore.
That's
right,
exactly right.
That's exactly right. So we met at that time, and when I first saw Crystal, I used to work at the student center, and I was sitting at the desk, and I would see everybody that came into the building, and so saw Crystal walk by. She had a little black tights on, and she had her backpack on. She was looking straight forward, and I was like, "Who is that?" And she didn't pay any attention to me, which was like exactly a good sign.
You're exactly
a good thing. So we met through a mutual friend, and then we just kind of, we actually worked on a video project together for my fraternity. She helped me out, and I was getting help, but I was also kind of trying to move in.
Right. You're right. And I was being serious because, that's my forte. It's like I went in for radio TV, so it's like we had, I was like, this is a good opportunity. I can practice some of my skills and all of that. And so when he asked me, I was like, oh, yeah, there's no problem. We can meet at the library.
Yeah.
And
She was she had me in the library quite often. But we met then, and what's funny is we kind of, she wants to do a keepsake of this, but we used to, Facebook had just came out around shortly after that, and so we have our Facebook messages. That's where we first started. Kind of, I was in the DMs.
That's cute.
But real quick sidebar, and I will say this because it's like I was in a relationship at that time, but Tony was very respectful of that. He knew that, but he didn't overstep or anything. Like everywhere that we met, it was like public. Like even if if you were messaging, it wasn't anything like you were trying to like take me out on a date or try to overstep or
Right.
anything. Like he was very respectful of that. And you know, it's like if you're in a relationship and some guy's coming up to you trying to be your friend, they really not trying to be your
Right.
friend, you
That's
know.
right.
So, but he truly, genuinely was just like, you know, I need help with something, and like when my friend then, you know, when she introduced us, it was like, oh, okay, you know, hi, nice to meet you, and that was kind of it. And I still just kept going, walking by.
I think it was
but-
6 months or something like that between when we met until when we actually started to hang out a lot more. We was like, oh, you in a relationship? Cool, I'm doing my thing. You know,
Right.
well, nice to meet you, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, and that was kind of the beginning of our love story. And
That's
then
beautiful.
From
True
then,
respect.
moved on.
Yeah.
True respect.
So there was a spark, but you respected that she was in a relationship.
Oh, there was a spark, but I was like, look, if it's for me, it'll be there. And I had been praying for a girlfriend, now a wife, and so I just took my time. There was no reason to rush anything that now is forever. So.
That's beautiful. That is so
Yes.
beautiful. So now we know how it started. I know there's so much more to that
Yes,
story.
it is.
So come on, we want to hear the
wanna
rest
hear
of
some
it.
more? Okay.
Hey, Crystal, now you tell
Okay,
us.
so I guess, okay, this is funny because, so after my relationship had ended, I still, you know, was like, I didn't want to rush into anything. We still were cordial. We talked. We didn't go out anywhere, anything like that. But then it was, like you said, like about 5 or 6 months or so. Then it was like, we went to our first date. It wasn't like a date, but it was just like, hey, you want to go to lunch? He was getting off his shift, and I was just coming by. I was meeting him there. He's like, you want to go to Quiznos? And it's like,
Quiznos.
yeah. So I was like, oh, yeah, sure. So me, I'm like, I'm going to buy my food. You know, it's like, because this isn't a date, and, you know, and just me being myself. And
Very
so,
independent.
yes, I was like, you know, okay, yeah, we can go. It's like, what was that? We weren't even dressed up any type of way. It's just like, let's just go eat. So we did that. And so then from there, you know, we just continue to talk. We work out a lot. We are very athletic, and we still do work out and things. So there was a park over on, like around our campus, and we would go there on Saturday mornings and just go run. Like, it was just casual stuff that we would do. Nothing like intimate, if that's nothing intimate. But it just kind of started from there. Like I said, continuing to grow our friendship. And then after that, you still, like, I think you asked.
Well, we just really took our time, and we
Yeah.
really were trying to be friends first, and I think that's what's helped us to this point. We are really best friends. I mean, seriously, and so once we started dating, and I left college. Well, I actually stayed for a job for about less than a year out there in Stephen F. Austin, and then I moved back to Houston, and Crystal was still in college, so we had a bit of a long distance relationship for a little while, and so it didn't really hinder us or anything, but it was exciting. I know at one point she was talking about moving to Tyler to take on a job after college, so we were like,
And
I was like, you about to do it?
Yeah.
Now, were you here in Houston
I
at
was
the
here in
time?
Houston,
Got it.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Houston, Nacogdoches, but you were considering
Right.
Tyler.
Yes, because so before I graduated, we did internship, and so I interned out in Lufkin at KTRE 9, and so there was one of the producers, like the sister station is in Tyler, so they had an opening for like a production, like a production assistant, and so I was like, oh, okay, let me go see what it's about. I literally went up there, stayed the night. I had a hotel and everything, and I went for the interview, got my mind free, like I was very serious,
And I was just praying.
telling him, I was like, you know, this might be an opportunity, because I got a call back, so, you know, I was like, okay, this might be something that happens, and I was letting him know, and so, but I mean, I didn't get the job.
I never discouraged her, though.
No,
It
he
was
didn't.
Always
He didn't.
encouraging. But when she moved back to Houston, one of my fraternity brothers worked at 97.9 and 102, and so with Radio 1, and he was a director there, and so she moved back to Houston, and we helped get her a job as soon as she got back
Awesome.
in her field. So that was
Yes.
nothing but God. though,
Yes.
to be
Yes, it
honest.
was.
Yeah, and so that happened right right when she got back to Houston.
You were trying to keep her here.
I was
weren't
doing
you?
everything
Yes.
I could. Everything, all the strings are being pulled. Yes.
Very smart, very smart, babe.
Yes, very much so.
Anything else you want to share?
Yeah, well, speaking of that, I was going to say something, too, because, well, after we started dating and we both were in Houston and we got engaged, Crystal had a leap of faith during our engagement.
Oh, yes.
Oh, now we want to hear this. Yes.
Oh, yes. Oh, gosh. Okay, you want me to?
Yeah.
Okay, so, of course, like you said, it's like I was working at the radio station. And, you know, it's like you're in somewhere, you're in a space, and it was a tremendous experience. Like, yeah, I'm still in contact with a lot of people there, even to this day. So, I really enjoyed working there. But, you know, you have that feeling when you know it's time to shift. I did a lot of stuff with the digital team there and production and stuff like that on the promotion side. But I was like, okay, if I can do like my video skills and in my editing and stuff and get the reviews, because I helped along with a web series that they did for Magic, and it was just like the feedback was, you know, amazing. And I'm like, you know, nobody knows who the person is that's creating it, but you know, I knew. I was like, okay. I was like, I have something here. Like, you know, what if I just started my own and started my own business and just, you know, really stepped out. I prayed and I fasted, like, and you actually fasted with me during that time. And when I tell you, we had like this closet that has like stuff in it. In the morning when I would go to work, I would go in that closet and I would just pray. I'm like, God, you know, where do you want me? I was like, I need you to speak. I need you to move. Because I know we just got engaged, but I was like, I just don't feel right. Like, I know there's a shift that he's trying to pull me towards. And so I ended up leaving that November in 2015 to venture out and actually start my own business. And it's other stuff too. I don't want to like kind of get long-winded, but like the signs that I knew was during that time we fasted, I was looking, you know, trying to get equipment and things because I was like, I need camera, I need lights, I need all this stuff that, you know, we need to operate. And at the studio where I'm at, they do auctions. And so I literally, like I said, I was praying and fasting. I was like, I needed a mic. I was like, I need a laptop, and I wanted a desktop. They had like 3 MacBook desktops, and I was like, God, it's like if you can just let me. It was a lottery. It's like it's literally a drawing, first come, first serve. I said, if I can just get those things, like I can be good. And I literally was the 3rd person drawn.
Wow.
And I got every single thing. I called my dad. I was crying, and like he was like, "What's wrong? Where you at?" Like, you know, he thought something was wrong with me. I'm like, "No, I'm happy. Like God gave me this." Like, I get very emotional about it. Like even to this day, because if I hadn't had that, I knew it was like confirmation that it's time for you to move. Your season has ended, and so that's what I did. That's what I did, and you know, he stayed with me. Through that, I mean, we were engaged, but not that you were going anywhere, but just, you know, he was there with me through it because, and it was funny because even after that, I got 2 opportunities like to work with weddings, and so, you know, and just from there, it just continued to grow, and I'm still doing it to this day, but yeah, that was definitely a step in
the middle of our engagement season.
In the middle of our engagement, yeah.
I think that's actually beautiful because that also dispels one of the myths that we hear is that not loyal. And I choose to differ.
Yeah.
I see loyalty. You were so loyal to her, committed to her, and you were engaged, but you knew her heart, her desires, her passions, and you supported. And that's beautiful, and I commend you.
Thank you.
I commend you.
Absolutely. Yeah, it wouldn't have it any other way. I already knew. I always knew she was gonna run her own business eventually. We talked about it, but we just were wondering when the right time would hit.
No,
I get
I'm thinking. I
emotional.
thought we had it right here.
Happy tears.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, but and here she is doing great, amazing work. I would have been crazy not to support her during that time. So
Awesome.
Again, I love the example that you set that is contrary to what we hear.
Yes.
And that's the love and the loyalty and
Yes.
the dedication to one another that as millennials you are showing others.
Yes.
That, you know, it's not what you're seeing on TV.
Come on.
But this is
That's it.
real. This
Oh,
is
yeah.
real and it's wonderful. It's lovely.
Thank you.
So traditionally you asked her to marry you or did you ask him?
Oh, he
Yeah.
did
I
that.
had to do the
He
whole
did that.
situation. Me and her dad
My
have a great
dad,
relationship.
look, and that was one. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
No.
off, but I told him, I said, my dad, I was like, you have to ask him. Like, I was like, because, you know, like you said, it's like, things are different, things have changed, but it's like, I grew up traditionally, and like, that's, you know, what I was taught in the home, and even like, you know, with my dad, like saying that, even still, like, he didn't have to tell me, like, make sure, Tony, like, he didn't say any of that. It was kind of like, he knew I knew, and I understood, and I respect him,
right.
you know, for the man that he is, and of course, as my father, and, you know, and it's like, I knew he took a liking to Tony, because it's just like, oh my gosh, like, he's really, he asked about, when he asked about it, I was like, oh.
Then
It's
you
like,
knew,
so-
right?
Yes.
Okay, so this is okay. Like he's okay with him. Like, you know, that's really good. And but yeah, so I didn't even know he did. So you go ahead and finish.
Okay. So, yeah, me and her dad, we worked not that far from each other. So we built a relationship to go to lunch once a month. And I think that's probably important for a lot of guys my age to think about building a relationship with the father of the woman that you're dating. Not to be vain or not for a reason that's not appropriate, but just to get to know the person that raised her if you have that opportunity. And so we built a relationship, and we would go to lunch and just talk. I mean, not even, honestly, we still do. We just did it last week. And we don't talk about Crystal as much as you think. We actually just talk man to man and just
Right.
talk about life and family and then, you know, just being men in general. And during one of the meetups, I asked him for her hand in marriage, and he said yes. And I proposed March 22nd.
Yes, March
Oh,
26th.
look at
Wow,
that.
look at you.
Yes.
That's
You
another
did
good sign.
You did good. Okay, you get the date. Look.
That's
And-
really good because with my husband and I get the date wrong all the time.
You
So
gotta
the fact-
set reminders in the calendar.
You know, I mix up March and May.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I always
that's
get the
kinda
day
cute.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that day was actually the day I launched my business too.
Yeah.
So it was.
So what a great day
Yeah,
for
it
you.
was a wonderful,
A whirlwind of
wonderful
emotions.
day. Oh yeah.
She literally
video
was
and
asking me, "What are you
everything.
doing?" as I was getting on one knee.
Oh,
So yeah, but she had no idea.
I
She,
had no idea.
along with telling me how she wanted me to talk to her dad about asking her for marriage, she also laid out to me how she would want to be proposed to. Also, so she's very
Got it.
detailed. I want my family there. I want camp. So
Yeah.
Awesome.
gotcha.
and he listened.
Good husband.
Yes. He remembered all of it. And because we did have that marriage talk. Like, you know, we both had graduated already by this time. And it's like, okay, the next step, of course, you know, marriage. And like the year, I was like, okay, well, we need to do it sooner than later. So we knew 2016 was the year. So then in my mind, I'm like, so he has to propose between this time
She
and
had a whole
August. Like,
timeline.
I had a whole timeline
She had the
of when
timeline.
he was going to
And
do
it
it.
was
I was
off.
like, he can't ask no later in August because we got a plan. And you know, I was just like, I was really
Detail
yeah,
oriented.
I was very much.
It still is.
Yeah, it still is. But yeah, he surprised me on that. Yeah, that threw me off.
So beautiful. And how long have y'all been married now?
We'll make 2 years next month. A month exactly from now.
Oh, how beautiful. And what are your ages, if you don't mind asking?
I'm
Yes.
25.
I'm 28.
Awesome. It's just so beautiful.
Yes,
to
I
see.
remember this stage in our relationship.
too.
It's beautiful. We loved seeing it.
And you know, another thing too that was challenging in our relationship as we were dating and engaged is I lived near Humble and she lived in Pearland. So that was like
yes.
45 minute hour
minute.
drive
Yes.
to. So it would be times we wouldn't see each other but maybe one time a week in the same city because we just, but we didn't live together or anything like that. And so we just had to make it work.
Right.
And we did.
I love that you honored that
Yeah.
even through being separate and not being able to see each other, that you honored the commitment to stay living apart until you were married.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
And I will say, like, and just to what you were saying, Delia, is like when we came together and moved in, it's like people would say to me prior to, it's like, you're not living together, like y'all aren't gonna know each other and what's happening and things like that. And I'm like, we'll figure it out, like it'll work, you know, like it'll make itself come together. Like, and at times I will admit I was kind of nervous because, you know, you hear that, but it's like you don't know that person in their life or what they're going through, but it's like you have to realize who you're with. And with Tony, it's like he's so understanding and patient, very patient with me. And so like
that's right.
Yes, in the beginning, like it was some moments I was like, you know, he moved my kitchen around, you know, I had stuff certain places.
And then there was moments where she threw my shoes down the stairs. They're always on the floor.
Hello, welcome to marriage.
Yes, that's marriage right there.
It's like, why? But it was never to where he was just angry or upset at me to where he just lashed out or just, you know, was like, ugh. Like, we never did a quiet, you know how people say did silent treatment. We didn't have that. We talk about everything. If there's an issue or if there's something that we're on a disagreement about, even if we need to pause a moment, we'll take that pause.
Good.
But
That's
for the
good
most
right
part, we'll talk about it. It's like we're not going to dismiss what just happened. It's like, let's address it and figure out what we're going to do, you know, moving forward. And we come to
We have different
agreement.
communication styles too. I'm very analytical, so I'll say, okay, can I bring you over here to the whiteboard and let me show you what I'm thinking, and I like break it all the way down. Fine, I guess I can. So you got to figure out what works for you, though.
That is so true.
Yeah, we found our love languages, I guess. So.
That's so awesome.
That's some of what we'll be talking about during this series. So I love that you mentioned the love language because it's so important in a marriage.
It
Yeah.
is.
You know, we've talked about this before. Is, you know, it's a give and take. It's compromise.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
it's just truly honoring that you are two different people. So there's going to be compromise to work through things.
Yeah, I think early on we had to really realize that having expectations in a marriage, especially early on, well, it's an early death.
Yes.
So we both had to kind of like talk through our expectations of what we think marriage should be like or what it should have been like and all that,
That is
stuff.
so good.
And I think that book, The 5 Love Languages, helped me realize that, oh, so I'm acts of service. I like for you to do things that, oh, I appreciate that, you know, things like that. And she is quality time.
Yeah.
So just turning off all electronics and just sitting like this.
and being right here.
And gazing lovingly into her eyes, right?
Yes, no matter
But
what time of
that's
day.
so beautiful. And because you both know each other's love language, you act upon that.
Right.
And that is absolutely beautiful. Well, I am just excited. To hear millennial love is so beautiful. But there's so much more because they're going to address some particular questions and you're going to get to see their heart on the deeper things. But we'll be right back.
Connect with fellow millennials, creatives, professionals, and entrepreneurs within the all-new millennial community. Join in and get connected with local events, volunteer opportunities, and mentorship programs with the next generation. For more information, visit themillennialcommunity.com and become a member today. Membership includes access to special events, networking events, and civic engagement opportunities. Check out our online calendar for upcoming event opportunities, such as Millennial Think Tanks, community building events, the new Sea Live experience, and much more. Members will also be invited to join an online membership group, have opportunities to pair with local students in the Houston community for mentorship programs. Follow us on all social media platforms and get connected with the millennial community today.
We're back. If you missed that previous segment, go back and watch it. Today we have Tony and Crystal Holmes, and they're giving us the perspective from a married millennial couple, and it has been fantastic. We are going to continue on. We want some more information from them, so join us. My question for you is, today we see that millennials don't necessarily believe in a traditional marriage. What are your thoughts on that?
Obedience is better than sacrifice.
That's good.
That is the first thing that comes to mind, because when I say since we've been married, it's been back-to-back things that have just opened up and doors. Like, even our honeymoon was all expense paid. We went to Hawaii. So it was just, you know, that trip by itself is a lot. And so, you know, we just both were just like, we don't want to, we did not jeopardize, but we just wanted to act in obedience to what God's word says. And we wanted to make sure that we both, of course, were like on the same page with everything. And it's like when we saw the results of just the little things, the time that we sacrificed of not seeing each other for those weekends or weeks and days, and just being able to go to church and just, you know, pray together and fellowship with other people, like, it just brings so much more joy. And like I'm at a peace all the time. It's like I don't feel like I'm tensed or on the verge of just being thrown completely off. And if I am, he's got me, you know. He brings me back. And
vice versa.
Yeah, and so that's what I would say to that. Because it definitely is.
I don't know. I guess for us it was natural as well, because between the two of us, we've had an opportunity to see almost 60 years of marriage between our parents. So with me seeing my parents and her seeing hers, I don't ever think it was a question if we would get married. So for us, we're probably fortunate that we haven't found each other. But I don't know why millennials aren't giving marriage a shot. I don't understand what's so scary about it.
So are you believing that myth, or is that just what we're hearing?
No, it's true.
You think it's true?
You see it. You see, I have, for us, when we got married, we were some of the first friends of our groups that were married. I know she was, and I think for me, I was probably second out of a lot of guys I know to get married.
You know, we've been very fortunate in that we have you two. In the last few weeks, we have had other millennials. We had Logan Johnson, we had Fred Vernon, we had Jason Felton, all about your age group or very close to it, who are on fire to get things done, to impact their communities in a positive way. I love it. I love that you people like you, like our previous guests, you are dispelling the myths that we're hearing.
Yes, you
and
are.
It's lovely. Thank you for being here. I love the opportunity to chat with you and just get your perspective.
Yes,
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
You're welcome. Well, we
Very
always
much.
love to leave our audience with words of wisdom. So we'd love for you, the Holmes, to give our audience a nugget, a word of wisdom that you want to leave with them today.
Oh, man.
What you got?
Like with marriage or just
It can be
general,
anything that's
or
on your
just-
heart, because here we like to flow. So anything that's on your heart that you want to leave with the viewers today.
I will say, if you are very passionate about something, they always say, if you do what you love, then you're not, you know, working, and you don't feel that way. And I can honestly say I'm feeling like I'm in that space right now. And it can be discouraging, especially like if you, like we talked about with social media and everything around us, distractions and things, and seeing other people's lives. It can kind of hinder us from thinking that we're good enough or we can do it. But I just want to encourage you just to keep going and pursuing your vision, your passion, and whatever you're dedicated to, because it will come around, and you know, your labor will not be in vain, and you know, God sees what you're doing, especially if you're doing it to serve others.
Absolutely beautiful.
Be bold. Set a big goal that when you look in the mirror, it scares you to say it out loud. You start shaking. Set something like that so that you can know that you have to lean on God to get whatever it is that you're trying to get accomplished, because you can do it. Don't set small goals. Go big. Go big. Don't be afraid.
So awesome. We thank you so much for visiting with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
It
you.
has been amazing. I know Delia and I have definitely gained wisdom from the Holmes, and we hope that you have as well. We'll be right back. How do you define freedom? Is it health,
The ability to call a board-certified physician 24/7, 365 days a year. The ability to eliminate all future copays. Is it wealth? Cut your years to mortgage payoff by more than half and save hundreds and thousands in interest on mortgage, car, and other loans. Is it the gift of college scholarships for every child? Earn guaranteed scholarships at more than 360 private colleges and universities in 45 states. Or simply, abundance, time freedom, the perfect opportunity at the right time. It's all of these and so much more. We are looking for leaders, and freedom is calling. Join the Trivesta movement.
The word eros is derived from the Greek god of love and fertility. This category of love encompasses sexual passion and desire. For many, this is the only form of love or classification that they're familiar with. As you will hear, this is perhaps the worst and most dangerous classification of love. In order to gain a healthy perspective of love, we must be able to truly identify and classify each and every one of your love relationships. Yes, each and every one. Now that you have a short definition of eros in mind, begin to list the persons in your lifetime who have fallen into this category. This information is simply for you. It's for you to grow and learn. You don't need to share it with anybody. Remember that pen and paper she told you to grab before the break? It's time to put it to use.
Now, talking about eros, did you know that even the Greeks considered this form of love as dangerous and even frightening? In their minds, this form of love involved a certain loss of control. And as we know, in order to make sound decisions, present ourselves with knowledge, and be the best person we can be, we must always exercise self-control. When we have no control of ourselves, bad things happen and mistakes are made. These mistakes cannot be erased or be taken back. Our bodies were made to procreate and to have an inner urge and desire to do so. So we are just like animals with the same instincts, but we have a higher sense of control and reasoning. Now, I'm not saying that eros is a horrible form of love. What I am saying is that eros must be combined with other categories of love in order to not be reckless. In other words, it takes a mature thinker to responsibly accept and overcome challenges associated with eros. When eros is misunderstood, it can easily be misused, abused, creating tragic results, hurting everyone involved, including future generations to come.
We've covered a lot of information, so take a look at that. Examine your eros relationships and determine if these were strictly eros or perhaps eros along with one of the other forms of love. Be true to yourself when analyzing. This information is for you. Assessing this will help you become more familiar with the categories of love and how these categories affect past, current, and future relationships. You may just find out where things went wrong, or even better, where things went right. We're going to take a quick break, but we will be right back in just a moment.
And then there was life. Born to color outside the lines. Born for such a time as this. You showed up on the planet to produce a dream. You, yes you, were born with purpose, with words. Friends, imagine that your dreams can become your reality by the words you speak. It all starts today. It starts with you. Creation, formation, transformation, all begin with change. The battle is in your mind, but your voice is your weapon. Speak life, believe, prosperity, creative, daring. The best way to predict your future is to create it. Your future is unwritten. Let's begin writing today. Your words create your world.
Before the break, we actually were talking about eros love. which is a little bit heavy. But now we're moving into our next category, category 3, and it is identified as philia, or affectionate love. This is a love of friendship. The Greek civilization valued this category much more than eros because this type of love is considered a love between equals. This type of love takes nothing physical into consideration. In fact, it has nothing to do with that at all. It's loving the mind of another. Because the great philosopher Plato felt that physical attraction was not a necessary part of love, the word platonic was born, meaning love without physical attraction. I have an amazing relationship with my friends, especially my sister sitting right here. And I truly love my friends, and they know who they are. You know what? When I say I love you, Delia, or I say I love my friends, I mean it. And philia is involved in a loyalty among friends. It's a camaraderie. It's a sacrifice. We all have that best friend or those friends that we are eternally loyal to and will make endless sacrifices for. This is philia.
Our next category, similar to philia, is a love without the physical attraction. However, it adds to the natural aspect of kinship and familiarity. Storge is a form of affection that flows from a parent to a child, children to their parents, and among childhood friends who have remained in a kinship, a strong friendship, through their adulthood. This casual relationship is grounded in a very special form of love, and it creates and molds the persons we become. How powerful is a love that molds?
True. I use the example of my grandparents. My grandparents' love, just seeing that love was passed down, my parents, and then to me, that I continue to do that today. But man, it sure has molded me to be the woman I am today.
I say the same thing about my father, his sacrifice, his work ethic, the way he showed love to us. It's how I show love to my children.
So right. And there's just so much more. We're not finished yet. So take a break, grab your favorite drink as we always tell you, and we'll be right back.
If you would like to submit questions or topics for the show, send us an email. Visit couchtimewithsonya.com.
I hope you are learning valuable information today. The next type of love that we're going to talk about is really not spoken of generally. It's usually spoken of as a separate category. Right. The category is ludus. This is the type of love that occurs in early relationships and early on in adult relationships. It's that playful type of love. Do you remember when you first experienced a romantic attraction to another person? For most of us, this is considered the puppy love stage. No, ludus is not really the puppy love itself, but it's the playful emotions that flow with it. A big association action which falls under the category of ludus is flirting. And of course, isn't that how it all gets started anyway?
Right.
In fact, studies show that girls and guys have specific ways of flirting. And we're going to talk about some of those today. Women engage in flirting in these type of ways. So men, let's put a pin right here. You definitely need to be taking notes so that you'll know when a woman is flirting with you. Number 1, making simple eye contact from across the room. You know, ladies, when you actually allow him to catch you looking at him and you hold that contact for just a split second and then look away. Some ladies who are a bit more forward and want their counterpart to know that they are interested will offer a quick wink before looking away. And then 2, a smile is worth a million words. Smiling has been said to make you more attractive to others. Your happy spirit is infectious. Smiles make you seem more approachable as well. I have had friends who go out together, and despite their effort that they put forth, looking great, smelling great, oh my gosh, you know all the things you do when you're going out, the available guys seem to approach their friends and not them. I used to hate to hear that word, unapproachable. What is that? Did I have to really get all dressed up or smell worse for someone to really feel comfortable in approaching me? I'm glad I really never had to deal with that.
Right.
But no, sometimes the most important item that you can wear is a smile. So smile. And then number 3, your body language. It may hold an entire conversation all by itself,
Right.
without you having to open your mouth. Smiling and eye contact are part of this. But remember that you can send negative signs like crossing your arms. That's really negative. And your flirting body language may include positive signs such as flipping your hair, or if you're like me, you can't do that. And then for those who have long hair, you can, but it's also playing with your necklace, playing with your earrings, just to draw that extra attention
Right.
to yourself.
Getting them to look at you.
You're exactly right.
Yes. You know, women are notorious for the subtle flirting. Have you ever surprisingly, but not really, crossed his path without appearing to be like a stalker? You'll take that quick stroll around the park where you know he's running at that same time, the same day. Maybe you take your dog to the same park and you play with your dog in such a manner that you're trying to catch his attention as he runs by. How about movies that play on that classification? 5, for those who are really bold, you may consider making the first move. I know I did, and I believe Sonja did too.
Sure did.
You know, when we were growing up, it was pretty uncommon. Most women wouldn't be caught dead asking for the date. But it's okay. If you want to, do it. I know that during the times of Powerpuff Games and the Sadie Hawkins dances, many people didn't have the nerve to ask that,
So true.
you know, that guy.
That's so true.
During this week, you know, where the girls played football and the boys were the cheerleaders, the girls were supposed to ask. Oftentimes that didn't happen. If that's you, go for it. Number 6, women may be the first to break the touch barrier. You know, they might straighten a collar, tuck a tag in, or pat the shoulder, something similar. 7, final and a classy way of flirting is to pay him a compliment. Men love compliments. Most of us do. So this is a sign that you're paying attention to him and stroking his ego at the same time.
And Delia, I think that may be how we got our husbands.
I would have to agree.
Now, guys, on the other hand, we have spoken to you about knowing different ways that women flirt, but now we want to give you some tips. First thing, any guy needs before attempting to flirt with any female is the word confidence. No lady is interested in a person who can't even talk to them. So work on that first. It's funny when a guy tries to attempt to talk to you, but yet he has low self-esteem and has no confidence at all.
Didn't we recently hear a story like this from one of our friends that's working behind camera?
Yes, you're exactly right. And then 2, be sure not to lay it on too thick. Believe me, a woman knows when you are extra in laying it on. Start gradually with a small conversation and keep moving. And then 3, smile. But don't give that look and then look away. No, smile. Make eye contact. Remember, you are the man, right? And 4, engage in conversation. Conversation that's meaningful.
Yes.
And be sure to ask about her. A woman loves to have an intellectual conversation. When you can appeal to the intellectual mind of a woman, you can get them. Also, have that conversation with them and talk about them, not yourself, because women hate that. Keeping the focus on her lets her know that you care and that you're truly interested. Of course, you can answer questions that she may ask you, but remember, make your answers short and sweet.
I think that's the key point there. You don't want to not answer their questions, but you don't want to go on and on that the focus is on them and not her.
That's so good.
Yes. You know, 5, the one thing girls and guys both love is a good compliment. I can tell you firsthand, I love to receive a good compliment. What person doesn't? Number 6, tell a super corny joke. If she laughs, in spite of the corniness, she likes you. And 7, don't smother her. Make her miss you just a little bit. And 8, most importantly, be her friend. We talked about this before. That's a very important piece.
Yes,
be
it
her
is.
friend.
Yes, it is. Friendship. These actions are so important early in a relationship. Remember, they're important, so focus on them. However, did you know that these actions are also key to relationship maintenance?
Yes.
not just getting them, but maintenance. Have you ever heard that in a marriage you should date forever? Playfulness is, man, it's oftentimes lost in long-term relationships, but it is so important to keep your romance alive and exciting. Delia and I have been married, both of us, over 25 years. I'll definitely tell you, we have definitely made a point to be intentional in dating our men and flirting, I would say as well. But
I was going to say, but flirt with your man,
come on,
not someone else's. Flirt with your husband.
put a pin there.
Yes.
That's a drop mic moment. But to restore some relationships, you know what? Flirting can help either restore it or it can keep it going.
Right.
So we tell you, you know what? I hope you're writing all of that down. If you missed anything, go back, rewind. We'll be right back.
CEO Jalea Davis is making history by becoming the youngest African American female to own a television station in the nation. Along with her colleague, President Crystal Holmes, these women are becoming a part of the 1.3% African American television station ownership. Get ready for iconic television, an all-new channel coming to your TV on KVVV Channel 15.10, covering Houston's local inspiration, entertainment, health, wellness, fitness, family, visual artists, comedians, and more. Streaming 24/7 on iconictelevision.com. Be sure to stay tuned for the latest and greatest on Iconic Television, where everyone can be iconic.
Before break, we covered 5 segments or categories of love. Now we're going to get into the next one. It's a little more serious. So perhaps if you have children in the room, they may want to step away for just a moment. You know, the next type of love, it's scary and unhealthy, but it exists. So we need to talk about it. Mania is a type of love that leads to obsessiveness. This occurs when there is an unhealthy imbalance between ludos and eros. Mania offers reinforcement to its possessor of their own self-esteem. People who possess mania often have low self-esteem, and they find their own self-worth in their partner. These people generally become possessive and jealous. They are codependent.
Yeah. The term codependent is used, loosely, but it's used to describe the person who possesses the mania category of love depends on this love for survival. And if you are anyone that you know are you who possess this type of love, you should, perform what we call a self-analysis with or without counseling and begin a road to recovery. I'm not saying that you should leave your spouse or your partner, but make every effort to identify these behaviors and make a change.
Persons in this type of relationship where mania is present oftentimes deal with depression, anxiety. If allowed to roll out of control, disaster is likely to occur. Yeah. The long-term effects on children in this type of home can be debilitating and negatively affect their future relationships. It causes a spiral through generations. These relationships, in their worst case, may lead to suicide, homicide, spousal abuse, and other related issues.
Yes, according to livestrong.com, some of the signs of this type of relationship include, and I want you to remember these: disrespect is 1, 2 is jealousy, 3 is manipulation, 4 is being controlled, and 5 is out of control or short temper. Pay attention. It's been reported that approximately half of the women murdered are murdered by their spouse or their boyfriends, and that 12% of these are directly related to jealousy. Those statistics are atrocious. But if you're in a relationship like that, what we want you to know is we want to give you the tool, the National Domestic Violence Hotline. The hotline.org is where we want you to go. And there's a phone number I want to give you as well. And it's 1-800-799-SAFE. 1-800-799-SAFE. If you missed it, don't worry, it's on the screen. And we want you to go get help. And if you can't do that, you know what? Email us at info@couchtimewithsonya.com. We want to hear from you.
We know that this is a serious situation. I myself was in an abusive situation, and it's scary. It's scary to be in it, and it's scary to try to leave it. But you can find your strength, and you can find avenues, either emailing us or through the number we provided, to get yourself safely out of that situation.
Yes. And you know what? After all of that, we want to continue on. Man, that's a heavy topic. Just know that we treat it serious. But there's also 7, which is pragma. And pragma, I have to honestly say, after that heavy moment, is actually one of my favorite. One of the movies that I love of all time is called The Notebook. Have you ever seen that?
I've never seen it.
Gosh, if you haven't, you've got to go see that movie. And you too, because the quick synopsis that I would say is it is something of a excellent depiction of timeless love. Pragma is what I call enduring love. Simple, it's timeless. And I truly believe that, you know what, you have timeless love, and I do as well.
You know, I say that timeless love is a good example in my grandparents. They spent a lifetime together, and they passed within months of each other. Like it seemed that they couldn't live without one another. They had spent so much time together that they couldn't do it apart.
They didn't want to, probably.
Right, right.
Wow.
You know, pragma is the type of love that young brides think of on their wedding day. It's that growing old together, hand in hand, matching rocking chairs. You know, it's the beautiful love story of Hollywood, a harmony formed over time. Pragma is generally found in couples who have been together for many years. You know, pragma is also found in lasting friendships that have endured through the years and you go into your adulthood. For those of you who are writing your list out there, you should count yourself blessed if you can truly say that you are in a relationship which displays this category of love. That's the thing. This is the type of love that is not easily found.
So true. And you know what? Pragma takes an ongoing effort on both parties. This love demonstrates compromise, selflessness, patience, endurance, tolerance, and an unconscious effort. I mean, an unconscious effort means that this relationship kind of just flows. In the years of our grandparents, and this type of love was really evident back then. Can you remember that?
Yes.
It was just so evident, and it was part of just daily life. You know, now as divorce and separation and the acceptance of each has become more popular, we see less and less of this in the aspect of marriage, and it's really sad.
Right. When related to friendships, admittedly, we may see more relationships displaying pragma than marriages. However, life has become defined by our life. Our society has become so busy with worrying about life, you know, preparing for life, living life, that so many of our lasting friendships, they suffer. And as we get older, we lose them. As in a marriage, a diligent effort is required on both parties to form this type of friendship.
So true. And you think about as we're living our life now, it is a give and take.
Yes.
And we both have to do that in our marriages. But you know what? I always say, we learned from one of our bishops is that 2 forgiving people. That's what we have to do.
Marriage is 2 forgiving people.
Yes.
I think that goes into the friendship, the pragma friendships. You know, you will do life together, and that's the good, the bad, and the ugly.
You're exactly right. That was a good point. But right now, I want you to take a hard thought. Just think hard about the special relationships around you right now. These can be the relationships of your parents, your grandparents, your neighbors, your church members, friends alike. Can you identify one relationship displaying pragma among them? If so, truly count yourself as blessed. Now, I want you to also identify those traits in that relationship which make you feel like you qualify them to that rising level of pragma.
Yes.
For those of you who cannot identify anyone to your personal knowledge, then I want you to write down 10 traits which you believe make a relationship rise to this level of pragma.
Now, is there anyone on your list that you feel you have the desire, the sincere desire to form this type of relationship with? If so, the first thing you have to do is tell them. Explain to them that what this type of relationship is, what it entails, and determine if they want the same type of relationship. If so, begin trying until it becomes natural. Ask them to do the same. If you don't have anyone currently in your life to work on this type of relationship with, then simply keep your eyes open. You know, don't put your blinders on. You never know when this person will cross your path.
So true. And you don't want to miss the opportunity when it comes.
No.
So I want you to make sure this week you visit our social media page at couchtimewithsonya.com on Facebook and on Instagram, Couch Time with Sonja on both, because we want you to interact with us on our conversations this week. But also we want to know if any one of you know someone and you have experienced any of the loves that we've talked about. We want you to let us know, because we'd love to know if someone made a difference in your life. And you never know, you might get spotlighted on the show.
Right. Now our next segment is the classification. It's, a review of one of our other ones, and that's self-love. Philatia, or self-love, is exactly as it states. It's the love of oneself. Before we can share love with others or care for others, we must first learn how to love ourselves. This love it's the love of the healthiest form, in the healthiest form. As referred to on lonerwolf.com, Philatia shares the Buddhist philosophy of self-compassion, which is the deep understanding that only once you have the strength to love yourself and feel comfortable in your own skin, you will be able to provide love to others. As Aristotle stated, all friendly feelings for others are an extension of a man's feelings for himself. Think about it. You can't share what you don't own. This is based on the theory that the only way to truly be happy is to find unconditional love for you. This type of love goes to the very depth of your soul.
Now, saying that, my gosh,
Yes.
the depth of your soul in a relationship, I'll definitely say, is that what happens when you fall in love with your soulmate?
Perhaps. It's a good point.
That is a good point. We're taking a commercial, but we'll be right back.
I'm Marlon Wilson, and you're watching Grind Time with Night Wolf Productions.
If you got a plan, just do it. Don't let anything stop you.
I'm Lauren Tolot, and you're watching Grind Time with Night Wolf Productions.
Live poor, poor, poor for the first full year as an entrepreneur. Probably 2.
I am Chloe Cook, and you're watching Grind Time with Night Wolf Productions.
There is no limit, as long as I'm willing to fail enough times.
Hi, I'm Samir Freedy.
You're watching Grind Time
with Night Wolf Productions.
If you want to be the best, you gotta be a little bit crazy.
Start where you are, and start today.
I am CJ, and you're watching Grind Time with Night Wolf Productions.
Go find that passion and go for it.
I'm Avi, and you're watching Grind Time with Night Wolf Productions.
I always tell myself I'm gonna win, like this is gonna happen.
Stop settling for an illusion of success. Stop settling for an illusion of entrepreneurship.
And keep grinding.
Welcome back. We have saved the absolute best for last. It is agape love. This is the highest form of love. True, selfless, unconditional love. For Christian viewers, this is the type of love that Jesus displayed in dying for our sins. If you are not a Christian, you may best associate this with the type of love that causes a person to jump in front of a moving train to push someone that they love off the tracks, knowing that this would be their demise. This type of love also has absolutely nothing to do with sex or any other type of physical attraction. This is the deepest form of love that is imaginable. Agape possesses compassion without boundaries, despite ill treatment or disappointment.
Agape is completely free from expectations. You can imagine that a load is lifted from you when you are the recipient of this kind of love. You get this love just because, and there's absolutely nothing you can do to change it. Agape loves you despite any ill treatment or flaws, and we all have them. This love accepts, forgives, and believes for our greater good, and there are absolutely no strings attached.
And that is truly just like the love of our Savior, Jesus Christ. Absolutely beautiful.
So beautiful, for sure. Now that you've had an opportunity to review these various types of love, it's time for you to assess your situation. You should be able to now take a deeper look at each of your relationships to determine the love health of each and every one of those. This next week, take the time to perform a deep evaluation based on today's show and look at those relationships. Use the knowledge from today to form a plan for strengthening your relationships, the healthy ones, improving the shaky ones, and letting go of the destructive relationships based on love.
Thank you so much to all of our viewers for joining us as we've explored the different types and the classifications of love. It has been a great day. And we want to thank also our special guests,
yes,
Tony and Crystal Holmes, the millennial marriage, man, and how they dispelled certain myths.
So beautiful, beautiful relationship.
Yes, it truly is. Now that we have looked at relationships and the types of love, this leaves us with a big hurdle: communication in loving relationships, also known as
love languages.
Join us next week as we discuss how to determine your love language. And don't forget to join us on our social media pages for more information about today's topic. It's been a great day. God bless you. See you next week.